Welcome to MegaBucks Radio. Conversations with successful entrepreneurs, sharing their tips and strategies for success. Real-world ideas that can put MegaBucks in your bank account. Here's your host, Nina Hershberger.
Hello and welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Nina Hershberger, and today my guest is Bryan Durkin. Bryan is a brilliant magnetic marketing consultant who specializes in the B2B LinkedIn world. Welcome to today's call. I'm honored. I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm doing this from my home office because many of us are quarantined in our homes. And the purpose of this call, and the reason I'm doing a lot of these recently, and why Bryan's on the call, is because we're focusing on that small business owner, that person who could be very fearful right now, the person who's wondering, is their business going to survive through this virus issue? And Bryan has some real world ideas, tips, things you can be doing right now. If you're even at home, you can be doing those. So thank you, Bryan, for coming on the call. And I think we're going to talk a lot about LinkedIn today, aren't we? And it's not one I know a lot about, so I'm excited about this call as well.
Yeah, that's great. It's kind of unusual for me because I have been remote working from home since I've sold my business and moved to Naples in 2004. So this is just another day for me, but unfortunately I can't go to lunch with my friend. That part of the physical distance connect, which I think they should be using instead of social distancing, they should be saying physical distancing and being connected more. So I'm happy to help in any way I can on helping your listeners understand the power of powerful relationships through tools like LinkedIn.
Okay, well, let's get started. What I always like to, I always like to have somebody I've got in mind. So can we talk like from the perspective of maybe a chiropractor or a dentist, or is that a crazy way to start?
So if your customer base is business to consumer, the angle I tend to help people with is, what does your referral network look like? So if I'm a dentist and I get a good strong referrals from orthos or from other professional practitioners, then LinkedIn is going to be tied to that referral network, right? And potentially business owners that tie together. So LinkedIn is primarily business to business. So in the scope of chiros, they're all thinking about, how can I do online treatments? What are things I can do to create more connections to my customers? There's a pretty good chance if their customer base is executive and business owner driven, then they're going to be there as well. That might be it's a little bit more of an advanced topic, but if you want to go down that road, we can. But the idea would be, and you're the expert on this, and I'm not an expert on chiros and dentists. I know chiros get a lot of referral business, right? So maybe we can use that as an example, saying, hey, chiropractors, write out the 10 types of businesses that refer you business. I know my son is an active physical trainer. He got hurt during some training, and his trainer referred him to a chiropractor to do some advanced stuff that they weren't able to do, right? So in that case, I would advise that business to say, okay, well, you got business from one trainer. Well, how many other trainers are out there that are looking for more value to provide to their clients? And if the chiro is offering free evaluations or free, things to do right now, maybe that's the way to do it. So is that a good example? I don't know if that's
well, let's see if I can summarize. So really what we're talking today is it's B2B, business to business. So if you're a chiro, we're talking about referrals because that's a business to business connection. If you're a dentist, they're getting referrals from someplace. That again is a business to business. But in the case of one company I'm thinking about right now, they are a heating and air conditioning controlling company, and they work with some training companies to teach things. So that's a business to business. So let's stay in the business to business world. So yes, so go ahead.
Yeah, so let's use the HVAC example because I have a large client who's in the industrial space, right? So their business probably is a mix of business and commercial. Most HVAC contractors are, but you said they do training. So they're a training business that trains HVAC. Okay. So are we looking from the perspective of the training company or are they an HVAC company that provides training?
No, they're not. So they're a manufacturer of HVAC controllers, and they're a distributor of like filters and all sorts of things. So they are a manufacturer and distributor to the contractor.
Got it. So first thing they need to do is they need to put a big fence around their customers. So if they're a distributor, if they're a manufacturer, whatever, they have an existing customer list. First thing they need to do is go find everyone on that list and find their LinkedIn profiles, right? They just log into LinkedIn. You can do it with the free account. Typically, it's first name, last name, and the company name will help you find if they're on there. You'll find, surprisingly so, probably 75 or 80% of their customers are going to have some kind of LinkedIn profile, right? It's perfectly appropriate. So first thing we do is we find them all. Build a spreadsheet, right? Do 10 a day, 20 a day, whatever you want to do. First you want to do is go find them, and then you want to connect to them. Because it's like Facebook where you create a connection first, but you get to send a personal note. And I will suggest strongly, the more personal note you can get, the better response you're going to get, right? So there are some people that teach automation. LinkedIn, just like Facebook, detests automation in the worst way because they want it to be maintained as a personal business-to-business or business people-to-people connection space, so you can really become a LinkedIn person, right? So get your list, write them all down, find them all. So if you spend an hour a day, in 5 to 7 minutes, you can find their LinkedIn profile. You can look and make sure it's the same person, not the same person, whatever. You can do it from anywhere. You can do it on your phone, you can do it on your iPad, or you can do it on your computer. That's first. Second is connect to them in some way. Hey, John, thanks so much for being a customer of HVAC Control Company. Now more than ever, it's important to have a great network. I'm looking forward to know you here on LinkedIn, and thank you so much for being a past customer. Signed, Bryan. And we'll write that down, Nina. We should pass that type of message is going to be great. You should also look at their profile first. And if they've had some kind of post on there, depending on who they are, depending if they are a purchasing agent, it's going to have a different profile than the VP of operations. And the third segment would be the owner and leadership of the company. So we're going to talk how to address each one a little bit as we go on. But first what I want to do is to create that connection, because I'm pretty sure your competitors aren't doing it. And I'm sure, just like I do, you want to, especially right now, you want the biggest corral around your customers and your herd as you ever needed it before. So, because that person, if he's a purchasing agent for a big HVAC company, and if something happens, chances are he's going to move into that same role. People don't often change industries once they get, 10, 15 years into their careers. So LinkedIn really was a resume builder, right? So that would be the first thing I would suggest they do. The second thing is, let's just say you do 15 a day. You spend an hour, you do 15 of those connections a day. Math is going to say somewhere between 20 and 40 or 50% of those people are on LinkedIn somewhat regularly. I would imagine now it's probably a little more. They'll respond to you. And that's when the working begins, where you just need to, thank them for connecting. And then the next step, once you thank them and just the thumbs up kind of thing, the second thing I always teach clients to do is wait a little bit, week, 2 weeks, 10 days, 2 days, whatever. And you have to test that. You have to build out your playbook, so to speak. The second thing you need to do is provide some value, right? If there's anything they can do to help in any way, offering them, and here's some free training, here's some sales objections training, whatever some things they're doing that are not selling. I don't think now, with the craziness going on, that you should be engaged in active selling unless you can fundamentally change their business, which is hard to do because no one knows what's going on. But you need to be providing value. So that's kind of the second big step. And the third one is just create a little spreadsheet. And just like in the sales world, if you use Entreport or use Infusionsoft or use ClickFunnels or use Kartra or whatever you use, we all know the power of messaging, right? Consistently connect with your customers on a somewhat regular basis. Find out how often that is. Salespeople, because I consider myself a professional salesperson, we only work on the top 10 to 20% of our customers, right? And our livelihood and our company's livelihood as a business owner, entrepreneur, relies on the next deal, the next project, the next continuity stream, whatever it is. And as you know, people are creatures of habit, and they're going to go with potentially the last person they talk to. So if you're connecting to your customers in a channel to which most people aren't talking to them through, and certainly certainly aren't creating connection and relationships, LinkedIn allows you to do that. So that's the second step is, creating value. Second step is creating value. Third step is, back that up. I'm going to have to edit that out. Sorry. Second step is creating connection. Third step is creating value, right? So however you define that playbook, those 3 steps, at that point, that should take anywhere from 10 to 30 days. Then just put them on your newsletter sequence. If you're not posting to social, so if you're posting your business to social through Facebook and through your email newsletters or printed newsletters, add that third channel and make sure it goes to LinkedIn. And by all means, let your audience know that it's there. If you do that on a consistent basis, you don't need to do it for hours a day. You'll find like-minded people are there. There are ways to search on LinkedIn, but you can search to people who have been most active. So the more active they are, the more likely you are to reach them. 3 steps.
Yeah, that's very helpful. Now, your newsletter. Your newsletter, are you talking printed or are you always email newsletter?
My customers do a myriad of all. So we tend to, a lot of times we repurpose content because we don't know how they're consuming it. So I have a couple customers that do a small printed newsletter or postcard every other month, an e-newsletter that's topic based, and we deliver it via print in the mail. They deliver it via email, and then now we're starting to deliver it through LinkedIn because we don't know how they're going to consume it. So that's it's another reason you're creating value, right? Because your newsletters they're probably, what do you teach for value? 70-80% news is valuable and maybe a small pitch or call to action, right? The newsletters I get, there's usually, personal stories about the owners, a lot of value about the business and parallel things that are interesting, probably some lifestyle stuff, and then some call to action about the deal of the month, the deal of the quarter, the call to action, talk to your sales rep, get a bribe, whatever it is, right? You can very much deliver that as a PDF inside of a message in LinkedIn. The hard part about LinkedIn is it's manual. You got to go find Nina's profile. You got to send her a little message, handwritten message, and you got to attach a file, but you can deliver all that. And it works great. We see a lot of activity in the evenings, probably also during the day, because they're on their devices. Business owners and executives are on LinkedIn in the evenings because it gives them something to do while they're sitting on the couch. So we see very high level executives, bigger companies. You'll be surprised. You'll get more responses in the evenings and first thing in the morning than you will during the day. It just seems to be the nature of the beast. Could change, but the nature of the beast.
So Bryan, question, is the free LinkedIn okay, or should they really have a paid version of it? Start
with the free. The only thing, there's a few differences in the free and the paid version. Obviously, if you show the paid version, you show more prestige as being they call it a premium member, and whether you're looking for a job or a recruiter or what they call sales navigator. When you're in the mode of connecting to your customers, the free LinkedIn is perfectly fine. Once we get past creating that corral around our customers, I suggest people going to the paid sales navigator version. I think it's $60 or $70 a month because you can do a lot more in-depth demographic, psychographic analysis of who your future customers might be and who your right connections are. In LinkedIn, they don't let you check by the size of the company, number of employees. They don't let you check how often they post on LinkedIn. They don't let you do some other things, right? So that's a little harder to do that. But for now, the free version is perfectly fine. But there are some reasons that if you start to, once you get into growth mode, you'll want to be in the paid version.
Okay. So during this particular time with the virus and stuff, is there any unusual tips, anything that you're seeing people do, whether it's LinkedIn or not, doesn't matter, that could be a tip for somebody as well?
Probably the biggest thing is just listen, right? Just how can you help? And anyway, right? On a personal basis, can I connect you with somebody else? Are you or your employees having a struggle? One of the things I do quite often is I just tell people I don't have a huge network. Not compared to some people I know. I've got a pretty good sized network, about 3,000 people. But I always tell anyone I meet, like, listen, look at my connections. If there's anyone there, I will connect you with them, right? I want to be, my wife calls me Kevin Bacon, right? 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I want to be that connector that helps people. And so if you are looking for, say you and I are talking and you're looking to reach out to chiropractors, if I have chiropractors in my network, I may have locally in my community some friends of mine that I connect with, I'm going to gladly connect you to. And I think that's really an interesting concept where you can open up your connections and let people share them or not let people share them. And there's pros and cons for each. I leave mine open because I want people that look at me and say, oh, who's in Bryan's network that I could talk to? And I think that's probably the best thing you can do today is just offer that up and say, hey, because we all need help. We all need good relationships. The number one rule in sales and in business is people do business with people they trust. And this creates this quasi-trust level because we've had some level of connection. We've had some community together. There's a reason why you should be connected with those customers. And you never know where people are going to go, right? So if someone's working for company A and they want to go to company B and they're both your customers, if I could be the conduit to help that happen, I'll do that. I've had situations where one of my really large clients who has a dedicated person doing this full time, he's gotten 2 people jobs in the last 3 months because they were high-level executives. And they said, hey, we connected to them. We were chatting with them. And the guy's like, well, I'm in the process of, my position has been eliminated. Do you know anybody at company B? And the guy's like, let's look at my LinkedIn. Oh, I know these 3. I know the CEO. I know the CFO. And we were able to make an introduction. One of my friends, personal friends here in Naples, was the president of a hospital on the east coast of Florida. He was looking to move back to Naples area. A specialized rehab hospital was opening here, and he sent a sponsored email, which if you as a paid member of a premium, you get 30 messages a month, I think it is. And it's a message that will go to someone you're not connected to. He sent him a sponsored email and said, hi, my name is Joe. I'm the president of this hospital. I've done this, this, and this, and I know you're going to need to do the same things. I would love to talk to you about if you have any opportunities for me to get back to Naples with my family. This is my home address. I'm here on the weekends, or here I am. 10 days later, he got a call from the CEO of a private owner of a 7-chain rehabilitation hospital, and he got hired 3 weeks later. So, it doesn't always happen like that, but it was basically a cold draft got right to the owner, got right to that person.
I don't know if I ever told you the story about my son. So 5 years ago, actually 6 years ago, he was looking for a job, and I'm a big direct mail person. And
yep.
And so, do you ever hear my story about getting him a job through direct mail?
I have, but I know you want to tell it because I've told the story to 3 people. So go ahead and you share with everyone. This is an awesome story.
I don't need to tell the whole story. Maybe we can do it another time. But I did. I did a 5-step direct mail campaign. His phone rang off the hook, and he landed a job through that. And that's not the purpose. But a year later, he leaves that company again, looking for it. And I said, okay, now it's time for LinkedIn. And so we went in. He still had a free version of LinkedIn. I think he still does to this day. We just fine-tuned his LinkedIn account, wrote it. He was a ballroom dance instructor and a ballroom dancer since high school. And so we actually used the description and everything. We did a ballroom dance twist. And he's very creative anyway with his writing and stuff. I kid you not, within 2 weeks, he got a call from the LinkedIn account from a company who remembered his direct mail campaign the year before. And they hired him a few weeks later, and that's where he's at 5 years from now. Later, he's still there. He loves it. It's actually the heating and air conditioning company, the controller company that we were just talking about earlier.
Oh, outstanding.
So yeah, LinkedIn is very powerful.
Very powerful. A couple also tips you brought up. Have a recent photograph. Right. This is not like I laughed at my real estate friends who took a picture 27 years ago. Have a current photograph. Everyone's got a phone. Doesn't need to be a professional headshot. It shouldn't be you in a bar with your friends. This is not Instagram. This is not Facebook. This is professional. Get a nice shot of you dressed as you would outside in your office, at your desk, wherever. Doesn't need to be perfect. Just have a profile. Headlines and your descriptions are really key. Right. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be super fancy. Some people love spinny graphics and stuff like that, depending on your industry. If you're creative, having the more creative terms in there will do that. And then have on your banner, if you can have a little bit about some pictures with you with people or your friends or your customers or something that demonstrates through your product or your service, just put that there. That's all you need to have. You don't need to be like you don't have to have something crazy. Just have something that's relevant to what you're doing, right? The profile isn't there's some advanced techniques when you're doing growth, when you're in growth stage, that you want to have more of what you do there, what the transformation for your customer wants to be. But for right now, current picture, a little bit of picture, get rid of that blue graphic. That's the standard one. Put something up that's relevant. And if you have creative, if not, go to Fiverr or hire someone to do it for you, right? That kind of deal.
That's great advice. Could we just a minute segue to your wife? Because I think this is a fascinating story. I think the listeners would really relate to that. So tell us what your wife does and what she learned through this whole process.
So, and we have a very relevant story about LinkedIn. So my wife has been an interior designer for 25 or 26 years, and she's been in her own business. This is our 20th year in business together. And we have, Nina and I are in a herd where we talk a lot about information marketing, and we have been pivoting for the last few months to create. So we're blessed that her customers are buying their second homes, they're executives of large companies, and that design business, most designers do anywhere between, let's say, 4 and 8 projects a year because they're small business owners and they can't handle anymore. We made the pivot to create a coaching program that's actually launching on April 3rd. I'm not sure when this all is going to come out and be out that, so the day is irrelevant. So we've been using LinkedIn to contact other designers. We have contacted since January about 1,000 people. So we were in active acquisition mode. We created a value sequence where we did all the messaging through LinkedIn. We said, hey, would you like a copy of my book? If you gave me 15 minutes, I'm creating this coaching program. I'll give you a copy of my book, and you can ask me any question you want. So we went to the herd and said, what do you really want to do? Out of the 1,000 people, we've spoken to 100 or so, and we're in the process of launching a coaching business. 100% of our lead generation was on LinkedIn. We didn't pay a penny for an ad. We did pay people to help with the messages and stuff like that. And it took us basically 3 months to have 1,000 qualified, interested people who raised their hand in some way, shape, or form. Because if you think of how magnetic marketing works at its core principle, is if your connect message is valuable enough and you connect, they've raised their hand. Right? They've made that micro commitment, to use a word us marketing geeks love. And that allows us to, continually progress them down the road and move them down the path of how can I help them. In Pam's case, she's going to help them become an in-demand designer because we use magnetic marketing principles for designers, and they don't know where their next customer comes from because they're just like every other small business owner. So it's been very interesting, and that's what's made me even more passionate about how we can help people use LinkedIn, because I have a front row seat. Like, I get to watch how it's transforming her business, and now more than ever, we need multiple streams of income, right? So, and you don't need 10,000 people to consume it. If a few people a month, 10, 12 people a month consume your information products, it can be life-changing for a lot of people. And certainly when you're helping them, it's a lot of fun, right? You get to help people.
Well, and her business is a business to consumer. Now, these are high net worth consumers, but
correct.
She took what she learned, she took what you implemented in the business to consumer market, packaged it in an information product, and now using LinkedIn in a business to business kind of environment to add an alternate stream of income. Yeah, smart.
And here's another one for B2C. One of my customers, he's just a friend of mine. I've been helping him off and on for the last 9 months, owns a small coffee roastery in Billings, Montana. So obviously he wanted to build an e-commerce site. I have some expertise in virtual teams. He asked me to help him. So we had some guys, we built an online presence for him, and that business is doing okay. And I said, I wonder how I can use LinkedIn. This is before all the craziness happened. And we decided, because it's cold in Billings, Montana, and people don't really go out much once it gets cold and bittery, and his foot traffic drops by about 30%. So we created a business-to-business campaign for him. So we took and we connected with about 2,000. We tried to connect with about 2,000 business owners in Billings, Montana, and we offered to buy him a cup of coffee. Hey, listen, if you're ever downtown, come in and say you met me on LinkedIn, and you and your party, your coffee's on me. And that's literally, so we took a traditional business to consumer business, and now we're in the process of, he's been delivering coffees to offices. He's been growing his customer base. So he added another stream of income just by being present, and we just sent out a note out the other day because we needed to. And he said, listen, do you ever want any fresh coffee delivered to your house? So he gave him some special coupon, 20% off or something, right? So there's always a spin to create a business to business product in a business to consumer business, right? So if you can think creatively on how you can do that, then LinkedIn's the place to be, right? So, and it doesn't move as fast as Facebook does. You don't need to do, it only has 700 or 800 million people on it, which sounds like an insane amount globally. considering Facebook has 4 billion people a day that log in, there's 10 billion users or whatever it is, right? No, it's not 10 billion, but maybe whatever the number is, it's very large and it moves very fast. So ads move very fast on Facebook and your feeds change consistently. LinkedIn moves at a much slower, more measured pace, which is why your human connection matters. You can still do display ads and other stuff, again, more advanced techniques, but you don't have to do that today. You can just be present and be there and be consistent. The more consistent you are, just like anything, the more payback you'll get, but your mileage may vary. So if you're trying to spam people and sell them right away, you're going to get shut down. But if you provide value, you can generally help, and you can prove it through whatever. You can definitely see a change in how your business approaches.
Wow, this is fascinating. It's making me want to go out and dust my LinkedIn account off again, because I'm the first one to admit I've just not been a LinkedIn person. It
is amazing. And so selfishly, I've actually built, so the downside with LinkedIn, the messaging cadencing of following messages is horrible. It's really hard. And I believe LinkedIn does that on purpose because they want people to do it. So we do done for you services for execs, right? For bigger companies, we help them do that, and we help them build their playbooks, and we help them with our virtual team component to help them do that, because it's just they want to do it, but they don't have the time. They do now a little bit, but we've developed software to use internally to help figure out, how do I do a 7-step campaign? So we talked about those 3 steps right now that you should do. But as you get past this, right, and you want to do just like any other marketing campaign, you want to build your pathway. So we've had to build specialized software so we can figure out what the path is. And so we know when someone drops in at step 1 and goes to step 2 and goes to step 3, once you get past a couple hundred people, doing that on an Excel spreadsheet is maddening. So we've been playing with the ways to do it. And it's not a public consumption tool, but if anyone who's listening wants more information, Nina, they can contact you and I'll share what I can. But nonetheless, tracking what you do is super important. And that's why I very carefully said, just reach out to 10 people a day. There's a reason why when you first do it, because if you have a 3-step sequence and you reach out to 10 people a day, you very quickly realize after a month, you've got 200 people at 3 different steps. Now you have 600 things you have to keep track of. It gets a little nuts, right? That's why doing small, going slow, seeing what works helps out. The connection messages of connecting to your herd and connecting to customers, just do that right away. Thank them for being a customer, offering any value you can. But once you get to the more advanced stuff, it gets a little bit more confusing, but it's super powerful.
Well, I'm looking at the time, so that was a perfect segue. And actually, Bryan, rather than necessarily even contacting me, I'm happy, particularly now. I'm happy for you to give them your contact information. They could contact you directly.
Actually, if they go to mvpinnercircle.com/LinkedIn, I've got I put together a little playbook. It's called 7 Steps to Power Up Your LinkedIn. It's just a free 7. It's a little 3 or 4 page booklet. It talks a little bit about more of the advanced stuff. By all means, they can go there and download it, and then they'll hear from us at some point down the road. But it's super powerful. It's all about implementation. You don't need to be, it's something you could do at home. You can do it on your phone while you're watching the kids do their work from home.
Okay, why don't you say that website again?
It's mvpinnercircle.com/LinkedIn. So it's there. It's live. You just ask for your name, your email. We'll send you off the PDF, and you'll be able to take what we've talked about today. There's a few more details we didn't get a chance to go into, but it'll give you a real broad brush of kind of the 7 areas you need to think about to make LinkedIn more effective.
All right. Well, Bryan, thank you so much. This was very generous of you, very kind. So appreciate it. No,
and just like I said, you got to do it. Don't wait. Just get on it and start, and you'll figure it out. Everyone does.
Okay. Well, until next time, this is Nina Hershberger. Remember, today could very well be the day that you need to get on LinkedIn. Till the next program.
Thank you for listening to MegaBucks Radio with Nina Hershberger. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or to listen to past episodes, visit megabucksradio.com.